bags are packed, are you ready to go? This time tomorrow we'll be on the road, riding with you in the sunnier days. I wouldn't want it any other way.
Hi everyone, I'd like to welcome you to our annual commencement ceremony. My name is Sue Meinzinger and I'm the founder and director of Summit Assistance Dogs. You know, commencement is definitely at the top of my list for being one of my favorite celebrations of the year. Creating these life-changing partnerships between people and service dogs is at the core of our mission, and commencement offers us an opportunity to honor our new teams and also to recognize the teams of people who work together to make these partnerships possible. It takes so many donors, volunteers, staff, and perhaps most importantly, our puppy raisers to change the lives of the people that we serve. We couldn't create these partnerships without you all, so thank you so very much. This past year has presented challenges like no other, but through it all, our dogs have reminded me to live in the present. When I take a dog to the play yard and watch it romp around with such joy and boundless energy, I forget, at least for the moment, that we're living through a global pandemic. These little reprieves from stress that our dogs offer us mean a lot to me. If you're watching today and your life has been touched by a dog, I know you can well imagine what a service dog means to a person living with a disability. Please join me for the next half hour or so as we celebrate stories of hope, of joy, and of the goodness that still exists in our world. Thank you so much for being here today.
Hi everyone, I'm delighted to introduce our three newest graduate teams of 2020 and some of the people who have helped make these partnerships possible. Earlier this year, we placed service dog Cooper with Alex, a returning client and former Summit staff member. And this fall, we placed service dog Toby with Jill of Edmonds and service dog Sailor with Michelle of Stanwood. Since Cooper was the first placement of the year, I'd like to reminisce about Cooper's time in training with me. Cooper was such a fun learner. He was always eagerly awaiting to earn his food paycheck. However, he did have a mischievous twinkle in his eye at times. Sometimes Cooper would steal my husband's socks whenever they didn't make it into the laundry hamper, and then carry them to his dog bed and lay with them between his paws. Sometimes he would give me the smile on his face when I'd catch a glimpse of him laying there with the socks. While in training in late 2019, Cooper and I were able to do some events together. He has really been one of my favorite dogs to do events with, as he really knew how to work a crowd. Cooper was a social butterfly, and he seemed to really enjoy going wherever I took him, be it the city or walks in nature. When it came time to find Cooper's match, Alex immediately came to my mind as a person who'd enjoy a fun-loving dog like Cooper. So without further ado, here's Alex and Cooper.
Hi, I'm Alex Stone, and I just want to say a huge thank you to Summit and the entire Summit community for bringing such an amazing dog like Cooper into my life. He's laying off to my side now on the beautiful blanket that was sewn by Nancy Nielsen. We both love it. It's gorgeous. Thank you, Nancy. Cooper was matched with me at the end of February, so we've spent the lockdown together. I can definitely say that I don't think 2020 shaped up the way either of us thought that it would, but I promised Cooper lots of adventures in the years ahead. I'm just so thankful to get such a loving, quirky boy to have by my side. I want to call out a few specific people, though, who played such large parts in making Cooper who he is and bringing him into my life. First, I want to thank Brenda Crispin, who was Cooper's puppy raiser, did an amazing job of giving him such a strong foundation. Thank you, Brenda. I want to thank the men at the Monroe Correctional Complex who poured time and energy and love into Cooper. I want to thank, of course, the Summit staff and trainers who spend their time on Cooper, but not just that, they spend every day pouring their professional skills, love, energy, everything they have into making matches like mine with Cooper. And I also want to thank James, who was a Summit client who had Cooper for a few years before he came to me. I know James took really good care of Cooper and gave him amazing adventures that I get to build on. So thank you so much, James. Thank you, Summit's donors. Cooper is just the biggest gift I could have asked for. Thank you so much.
Home is with you wherever that may be.
Sailor came to live with me in April to start advanced training, or as our clever puppy raisers call it, starting college. Quite like myself when I went to college, Sailor wasn't quite sure what to expect and was a little nervous during his first few weeks. Initially, he was aloof and didn't want to exchange hugs or high fives, but as we started to figure each other out and work with each other's quirks, our training time turned into a trusting and very enjoyable friendship. I learned that if I gave Sailor some time for his favorite extracurricular activities, like checking the neighborhood P-mail and playing some toy toss, he'd give me his full attention during training sessions. Sailor learned that training sessions and what humans call work were actually just playtimes. He became quite the motivated student when he learned that tugging shoes, shirts, and tugging open doors was actually something he could get paid to do, and his confidence grew and grew from there. That's when I knew Sailor had found his career choice, the life of an assistance dog. We're going to meet Sailor's puppy raiser family and hear from one of his trainers, Leo, who is in our Monroe prison program and was instrumental in helping provide intermediate level training for Sailor.
My name's Leo. I've been part of the program going on 3 years now. Well, what made me really want to sign up for the dog program here at TRU was I was alone. Being here in prison, you're by yourself. You're alone. You come into prison alone. Even though you got all these guys that you hang with and you talk with, and you're still alone. And I was actually going to chow one day, and I seen a guy out there playing with a dog or taking a dog to the restroom, and I seen him go down and hug the dog today. I was like, man, I missed that. And I haven't had that connection, that being close to anything for that long. And I seen that, I was like, man, and that's what drove me. That's what I was like, man, to be able to have those emotions inside you that you don't use, And that's what got me, man.
I would like to thank Sailor for helping me with the revelation. I used to be overwhelmed with sadness, anger, and self-pity when I looked and saw the barbed wire fences, concrete walls, locked doors, and loss of freedom in prison. But when I was in the play yard with Sailor, I would have an overwhelming feeling of joy, happiness, and love watching him run around with his toys and bring them to me. He is full of happiness no matter where he is. He knows what good and kindness are. I want to believe that good knows good and kindness knows kindness. In turn, this means I'm still a good person no matter where I am. Thank you, Summit, for allowing me to live, work, and grow with Sailor.
The dog is just pulling out that positive emotion out of me, man, you know, pulling out that love, pulling out that joy, that humanity, you know, it's pulling it out and saying, hey, man, it's all right, you know.
Yes, my name is Michelle, and my dog is Sailor. Right here. Good boy, yes. I'd be lost without him.
I'd like to tell you a tale about a teacher's pet named Toby, or fondly nicknamed Toblerone or Toby-Wan Kenobi. My love for Toby started when he was just a young puppy. I couldn't help but favor him a bit more because I got to keep him with me for a few weeks when entering our program as a young pup. He was such a sweet boy and always fun and photogenic. My husband was waking up early back then for work, and he will still also fondly recall that his favorite part of the morning was getting Toby out of his crate and smelling his puppy breath yawn. Better than coffee? We sure think so. I also had the privilege of getting to watch Toby learn alongside his back then brand new to puppy raising caretaker, Justin, during our weekly training classes. Each week, Justin would come in with a new excellent question about Toby, and Toby would just be laying at his feet like a perfect little angel. Toby definitely came with his challenges though, but hey, nobody is perfect, right? Once Toby came back to me for advanced training, he brought his chill demeanor and people-pleaser attitude. He was always so attentive to me, quietly hanging behind me even when I didn't know he was there. Sometimes I'd turn around just to see him standing there with just a little random toy or object dangling from the side of his mouth as if to say, "Would you like this? Can I give you something?" I'd say to myself, you are definitely going to bring joy and be somebody's bestest best friend. I'd like to thank all of our dedicated volunteers who pour their hearts and time into these special dogs and ask us trainers questions that make us sometimes scratch our heads and say, I haven't heard of that one before. But those questions just help us get better at what we do here at Summit. I'd like to introduce Justin, who raised Toby for 1.5 years, and let's hear from Jill about Toby.
Hi, my name is Justin and I had the joy of being Toby's puppy raiser. I have had dogs most of my life, but Toby was my first Summit puppy, and I can't believe how lucky I was to get him as my first service dog in training. Pretty much immediately, I believed that he was going to go all the way and make it into service. The pet labs I had in the past were all more than a little crazy when they were young. Compared to them, Toby was serious, calm, and eager to please. He seemed to me to be a perfect fit for service work. He was the master of settling from the very beginning, whether it was during a break at class or when we were on an outing in public. And he was always by my side, looking up at me with those expressive eyes seeming to ask, "What can I do for you now?" The watch cue came very naturally to him. But I didn't raise Toby all by myself. Summit was with me every step of the way, teaching me about dog behavior, body language, and to think about reinforcement from the dog's perspective. I think back to the crazy pet labs I had, and I realize now how much I've learned from Summit about raising a well-socialized puppy. Many friends and family have commented how great they think it is that I raise service puppies. But I like to tell them the fulfillment I got working with Toby was worth more to me than anything I may have given. That being said, when the time came for Toby to move on from my house to advanced training, I missed him even more than I expected. But now it fills me with happiness to know that Toby has found his person. Jill, it was my honor to raise Toby, and I know the two of you will have a wonderful life together. If you would, every now and then give him a piece of banana for me. They're his favorite. And now I'm proud to pass the leash to you. Thank you.
Hello everyone, I'm Jill, and this is Toby, my new partner. My journey began for a assistance dog after I graduated from Seattle Pacific University with a bachelor's in nursing. I was diagnosed with both lupus and Sjogren's, both autoimmune diseases. At that time, I met a counselor named Elizabeth who had volunteered for Summit. She was the first one to tell me about Summit assistance dogs. Later, I was hospitalized at Stevens Hospital, now Swedish Edmonds, and one of my nurses told me an assistance dog might help me. After that hospitalization and talking about it at home, I decided to search for an agency that trained service dogs. I Googled and found Summit assistance dogs and remembered the conversation with Elizabeth. So I applied. Having to wait several years was frustrating and discouraging, but I knew it was going to happen someday. I always had my faith in God and in Summit. I had seen Summit's partners in the community, and along with Summit's reputation were reasons I stuck with Summit. With my up and down health episodes, I just thought, let's just stick with it. I never knew when things would get bad and didn't want to be matched during a bad episode. So it happened, and Toby happened to come along just at a good time. Why was it a good time? Well, I was recovering from the worst 1.5 years ever. I had been diagnosed with breast cancer. I had a double mastectomy and chemotherapy. Surgery went fine. The scary part was the chemotherapy. I was very sick and spent 54 days in the hospital. I almost died 3 times. My faith in God and lots of prayers from loved ones, friends, and even people I didn't even know carried me through. Right now, I am cancer-free, and if I continue to be cancer-free for 5 years, I will be cured with this type of cancer. I was having a difficult time from side effects after chemotherapy. Neuropathy affected my balance. I was using both a walker or a wheelchair. One morning after Thanksgiving, I woke up with bad abdominal pain. I went to the emergency room. Well, to spare you with all the details, I just will tell you that I'm 2 people in 2.2 million that get what I had. I was told by a nurse to buy a lotto ticket. Ha ha. I improved after 4 days in the hospital, but right after the new year, I had to have surgery to have a third of my colon removed. I vowed to have the rest of 2020 to be a better year. During this time, someone had called. I met Toby in December of 2019. I had brought my parents with me to the assessment. We met one dog and knew it wasn't a match for me. Then in came Toby, and he was so excited with his tail waving. He greeted each one of us. He was so handsome. He worked some of his treat stations with me, and I walked around with my walker. I thought we did great. I actually talked about him during Christmas time and wondered out loud what he was doing for Christmas and if Santa had visited him. I fell in love with him right away and hoped he would be my match. I was so anxious for the second matching assessment. Would it ever come? We were now in the midst of COVID and wondered if my chance was gone now. Wow, I received a call in July. The assessment went well and Toby had been trained with a harness. We did some walking and it felt good. Toby even rolled over on his back and let me scratch his tummy. He did the back leg kick and it was so cute. Even though it went well, I had no idea how many others had seen Toby how many other applicants had seen Toby. The assessment was on a Monday and Summit said I would get a call back on a Friday. And I prayed so much. The phone rang on a Friday and it was Summit. I held my breath for a moment and I said hi. Pretty much for a moment after that, all I can say was thank you over and over. I couldn't believe it. I was so happy. When I was off the phone, for a moment, I grabbed my mom and dad and just blurted out, Toby is mine. I was so very proud of Toby. He does his work selflessly and patiently. He retrieves items, brings me my medication box, and picks up items off the floor, like my dirty laundry, and puts them in the hamper. He opens doors, cupboards, drawers, and the refrigerator and closes them. He turns the lights on and off and it stays in the bathroom while I take a shower, picks up the bath mat, likes to watch shower water run, and keeps an eye on me to keep me safe. We use a harness for walking for stability while out and about. He checks on me lying down or sitting in another room. He nudges me to say, hey, get up, that's enough napping. Right now, we are learning right and left turns while walking with the harness. Next on our list is to learn to get the phone in an emergency or alerting a family member for help. Since I've had Toby, he has made me really happy. Toby is reassuring and I can trust him. He already helped me with balance. I don't have to call him. He is right there Just lately, he saved me from falling in the bathtub. He has helped me to be more active by walking him and training him. What do I look forward to Toby by my side? It's the continued learning and communication. The communication and learning will never end. I know Toby will always look for the opportunity and will be eager to learn something new. He is so very smart. I cannot wait to explore life outside of COVID, to take trips with Toby and my sister to Oregon. We love to take road trips. Maybe do a genealogy road trip to the East Coast, or take a special trip with a friend and her son to Disneyland. This summer, my dad, my nephew, and my brother started building a she shed, an arts and crafts studio in the backyard. I can't wait for this to be done this spring. It will be for my crafting that I do. I think Toby sees the she shed as a big, giant doghouse. I can't wait to continue our journey. Huge thank you to Summit and all its dedicated staff, the board, trainers, volunteers, and donors. Special thanks to Toby's puppy raiser, Justin, Sue Messenger, Lindy Langham, Melissa Mitchell, and Mike Powers. Thank you for those who had to redo all the lectures and that had to be redone for online, and rewriting the manual, and personal home training during this time of COVID. Thank you. You all did an excellent job. And congratulations to Michelle and Sailor and to Alex and Cooper. You did it.